Yorkshire and the Humber's foremost paranormal internet radio talk show. Bringing you the very best laid-back paranormal chat from the UK with your hosts Anthony Weeks and founder of P.S.I, Mark Lindsay. 7:30 till 8:30 p.m. GMT every Sunday, covering the weird and the wonderful, such as cryptozoology, demonology, hauntings, UFOs, paranormal investigation, divination, witchcraft, near-death experience, and much, much more. Chat box is always open, so why not join in and become a part of the show? The paranormal just got real. Well, good evening. If you just tuned in, you are with us. This is Chat with Tony on P.S.I Radio on Mix LR. It is the 9th of the 9th, 2018, and I'm here with Mr. Mark Lynch. Say hello, Mark.
I do, so you're alright.
We're talking about Men in Black. See you in a bit.
Hey girl, you've got the knack. Should have been aware, but you were flat on your back. Well, maybe you were. It's all so funny, cause you found a guy with lots of money. Hey girl, look at your clothes. What a change from your shabby throws. Do you drive around town in his fancy car? Did he tell you one day you'd be a superstar? You're kind of come and gone before. Soon he won't need you anymore. Hey boy, beauty queen, wanna get your picture in a magazine. Pop a pill, have the bottle. Do me a favor, I'll make you a model. Hey boy, do as you're told. See a doctor, get a brand new nose. Bleach your hair, straighten your clothes. Now grit your teeth and strike the pose. You're kind of come and gone before. Soon they won't need you anymore. But you're all the rage, 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 you're all the rage. Look at you now, over the hill, staring at that bottle of pills. 'Cause your time has been and gone, and you won't be around for long. Now the pills are gone and the flames expired. Generation you inspired, you took that to your graves. Now you finally made today's front page. You're kind of been and gone before. Now they don't need you anymore. But you're all the rage, all the rage, all the rage, you're all the rage, you're all the rage, you're all the rage, all the rage, all the rage, you're all the rage, you're all the rage.
Well, good evening. If you just tuned in, you are listening to Chat with Tony. This is PSI Radio. It's the 9th of the 9th, 2018, and we're talking about the very intriguing subject tonight, which is Men in Black. Who on earth are they? We're going to recount some stories of real-life accounts. I have with me this evening Mr. Mark Lindsay, founder of PSI. Say hello, Mark.
Good evening, everybody. How is everybody doing? I think there's a bit of feedback on something.
Yeah, I've just turned it down. I still had the main amp on.
How are you doing? All right?
Silly Billy. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, you had a good day?
Yeah, well, not particularly. It's been one of them shit. I can't say shit on the radio, can I? It's been one of them days.
It is advised that this is an over 18 show, so you can say what you want, basically.
Yeah, one of those days, one of those weekends as well, because we've got the kids and it's raining. It's, you know, there's not a lot you can do when it's rubbish weather.
Well, you know what, days like this, they come and go. They come and go. They're soon gone. Yeah. The good days will be back.
Just like a curry.
The good days will be back soon. Yeah, just like a good bit of fast food. Anyway, so you know what the subject is of tonight's show. We're talking about the Men in Black. What do you know about Men in Black? I'm not talking about the 1990s film with Will Smith and Tommy Lee.
I just got to sing it to them. I can't even remember the words. Do you know, I think I used to go to a nightclub when he brought the actual record out.
Here come the Men in Black.
Yeah. You're always dancing with the aliens. Have you seen the video?
Yes.
Yeah.
What were the words? They won't let you remember.
Yeah, so what do I know about the MRB? I know that they're dressed in black. I know that they're meant to have like gumless looks on their faces. I know that they're out and about when there's alleged sightings or crashed UFOs or alien encounters, should I say, alleged encounters.
That's right.
And I know that they're meant to be some form of secret organisation, especially in the America.
Yeah.
Roughly.
They are. There have been reports of MIB visits over here in the UK too.
Yeah, I'm shocked. Does the UK have its own secret MIB organisation but called something else?
Oh, goodness knows.
Not Men in Black, but GRB, Gentlemen in Black. Because we wear gentlemen's suits.
Yeah, that's right. And the first thing they ask for is a cup of tea.
Yeah.
And a slice of Victoria sponge when they knock on your door.
Yeah, well, ours come in tweed suits.
With big curly moustaches. You open your door and they go, hello.
We are the Gib, the Gentlemen in Black.
A git, gentlemen in tweed.
There you go, there's a name for the page.
We are the Gits. Hello. Oh, we come out with some weird stuff here, don't we? Anyway, talking about weird, I mean, in my course of research for this show, I haven't really come to the conclusion that... am I going to be a bit harsh in saying they actually exist? You can't say all these stories are actually just made up by people.
It could be coincidental as well, because if there's lots of sightings of people in black suits, I mean, don't forget you've got some of the the higher ones in like the FBI and things. They're gonna when they turn up at a case to question or whatever, people are gonna think MRB. Not necessarily. They could just be toffs from high up.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, CIA operatives always wear black suits, well, as far as I understand. You know,
did they do it not to stand out, but to stand out even more because nobody else wears a suit unless they're going to a dance or a wedding or so. Like, oh, a guy over there in a suit, MRB.
Or a meeting.
If he's got a flashy thingy as well.
Yeah.
Flashy thingies, yeah.
Yeah.
A Neuralizer, and you lose track of time and all sorts.
Yeah, that's right. Which may account for some of the lost hours that are not accounted for in some of these stories.
I think I was just going through the script of the film there. I think.
Did they actually do they actually have a thing called a Neuralizer?
Well, they've meant to have. Some of the people that was abducted have mentioned MRB with aliens as well. You know, when being tied down on a bench and experimenting on them. What was the word? Probing.
That's right. There's always the probing, isn't there?
Or there's some say MIB are actually alien in suit. Because of the look on the face, they've got no facial expression, they've got the big black eyes. And
that's actually quite interesting because I've racked up a few true. Well,
I've just gone through all your stuff in about 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's it. But the thing is, it's because there are names and dates, and these were actually real people who had been actually scared by them. And some are stories from their friends who say, I know a story of blah 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 who went through XYZ, and now they're not doing that stuff anymore. They were scared that much they walked right away from it and channeled their energies into something else.
Well, let's start as we mean to go on. And it's always got to start with this question: who are the real Men in Black? Who are the real Men in Black? Well, dependent on whom you ask, the Men in Black or MIB are either another nutty UFO conspiracy, or they're actually part of a secret government agency designed to prevent the public from learning more about UFOs.
The thing is, right, they're always there whenever something alien or unidentified has happened. How do they know?
That's right.
They must be they're tapped into every radio signal going. There must be,
Or
because they're eavesdropping.
you could actually argue that they're tapping into the human consciousness, and these, like one of the main listening stations down south. I always like to think that somewhere tapping into the human consciousness, and once these keywords come up, once they know that someone's intent is channeled on UFOs or Men in Black, they go, and they're alerted somehow.
Well,
Rather than rely on machinery to do it,
Possibly.
they could use the power of telekinesis and thought.
we've talked about how the human mind creates like energy when you're scared, fear, and also excitement.
Hang on.
That could give off that signal.
Are you talking about the Oz factor?
I don't know. I know I did a paper. I didn't call it the Oz factor.
Yeah, we'll be talking about the Oz factor a little bit later on, which may go to explain some of this phenomena, but certainly not all of it. Anyway, let's move on. Let's delve further into this. Well, apparently the Men in Black always appear unannounced. They are usually, although not always, they are usually clad in black business suits and warn people to give up their research into UFOs or face dire consequences. In many cases, the Men in Black also have seen aliens. In some accounts, I think that's meant to be have also been aliens in some accounts. Are they aliens themselves or some form of demonic supernatural? There's another one to throw into the big cooking pot. You can't actually say it's one thing and definitely not another if you don't know what they are yourself. Yeah, the thing is, you could say these things are absolutely anything, but the one enduring question, I just see Murphy Paranormal has just appeared in the chat room. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello.
Very nice to see you. Very nice to see you. But then again, why would the government want to suppress information about UFOs? As the theory goes, it's because aliens are closer to us than you think they might actually be. Or they might actually be everywhere, and if ordinary citizens realised just how real the threat was, there would actually be a mass panic and a breakdown of the social order.
What? Right? Get this. Do you think some people believe that it's being slowly drip fed to us? Or that you buy film stories, fake newspaper reports, just so we kind of start getting used to the idea of it?
Oh, disclosure. Yeah, of course. That's what I've always thought. What was that black and white film with the big robot? There was I think the alien was called Klaatu, and the robot was called Goat. That was it. And it's The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah.
That if you read into the history about that film, interestingly enough, was made to actually desensitize the public to the thought of UFO, to the thought of encountering anything that was like a UFO. Did you know that is one of the reasons the film was made? The Day the Earth Stood Still, and it was phenomenally well done in its time. It was only a black and white film, but I say only a black and white film. One of my favourite films ever is in black and white. But yeah, that film was made with a disclosure agenda. And look how far back that was. It's got to be the late 1950s. Which, funnily enough, is when all these reports of flying saucers and Men in Black actually started. But I don't know.
Was What was that radio broadcast? What they played and people thought it was real? Was it
Oh,
Orson Welles?
you're talking about Orson Welles when he did that live show War of the Worlds, yeah, and he broadcast it as an.
Have you actually listened to that?
No, I haven't.
It'd be good to listen to the original.
Yeah, it would. I bet it sounds really dated now, but then again,
We sit laughing at it, won't we?
Yeah, but to be quite honest, I mean, this is exactly the point. I mean, aren't we desensitized enough to this kind of stuff? If we listen to I listened to the album, the War of the Worlds with Jeff Wayne, was it? And I thought it was just absolutely brilliant. And you listen to it now, and you know it's a story. You know, it doesn't have that much of an effect on you. Like horror films, like when I first saw Jaws, frightened me to death. Poltergeist, you what?
Yeah, I love that. I love the original Poltergeist film.
It's great, but look at it now, and it looks like a Disney comedy film, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it looks like a
What's your
kid's
favourite
film.
Poltergeist? I know you're going to say number 1, but there's parts of number 2. I like the Indian guy in the second one.
Oh yeah. What was his? What was he? Was he called something Storm? Do you know he was an actual Indian tribal chief in real life? And
I know he's passed away now, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has, but he actually performed tribal blessings for people on set. The ones that were really spooked out by the things that were supposed to be happening on set, and he actually performed tribal blessings on set. Yeah, interesting. Was it Lightning Storm or something? Thunderstorm? Something like that. And anyway, we're getting sidetracked. Not like us to get sidetracked. Yeah, it is. But anyway, back to the MIB phenomenon. Well, some folklorists, however, actually claim that the whole idea of Men in Black is itself a form of mass panic, or a massive form of some kind of psychological drama due to suggestibility and actually just a willingness to believe. Others, however, insist that the Men in Black are part of a real government agency designed to prevent the public from learning the truth about UFOs. They also insist that their experiences are real and that anyone who thinks they're crazy is merely a tool of government propaganda and manipulation.
I was just watching it and I thought, how can you see that from where you're sat?
I can see that from where I'm sat.
I can't need my glasses. Like that, I can't see that unless it's over there. I can start to see it, but there you're like.
I mean that is, yeah. Well, I guess that is a pretty big screen for what we need it for, really. But yeah,
is there still lots of MIB reports in America? Because I know that's mainly where they are, isn't it? Really.
You see, this is the thing. This is another thing that I was thinking. You don't hear of many MIB reports, say, like, I don't know, in Africa or France.
Well, it's obviously an American
or
government.
Spain.
Something to do with the Americans, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
You would think.
I mean, but there are MIB reports in the UK.
Is there?
Yeah,
I've not heard of it. I've heard of reports from like
there have been, yeah.
the Ufo and things, but no, I don't know.
Yeah, there have been. In fact, I'm going to see. This was going to come later in the show, but I'm going to see if I can find one now. It might actually be on this one. No, that one.
I like the MIB movies. I do actually like Will Smith as well, to be fair. So because
Yeah,
we
he's
grew
alright,
up with him when he did Fresh Prince. I think that's why.
Yeah. Well, he came straight out of that to do the MIB movie, didn't he?
I don't know.
But I don't know. Anyway, but there is an interesting story with you know Dan Aykroyd, the great Dan Aykroyd from the
Oh yes.
Oh yes, hello. Is my mic actually on? Yeah, it is. There we go. Yeah, Dan Aykroyd actually came forward with the story about how he was actually taping a show about the paranormal, and he comes out with this story where how he stepped out to take a phone call from Britney Spears, she was asking him to appear on Saturday Night Live with her. When he noticed a black Ford parked across the street, and a tall man stepped out of the Ford and stared him down.
Right.
Aykroyd turned away for a moment, and then he turned back, to find that the man and the car had completely vanished. Now, he goes on to say that after he finished his phone call, he returned to the studio to learn that his show had been cancelled and he was ordered to stop filming immediately. Now, some actually doubt his claim, but Aykroyd says he knew what he saw and maintains that there was some kind of connection between these MIB and the end of his paranormal show.
What was he actually doing on his paranormal show? What was it about?
He was actually covering all sorts of things. Excuse me.
It must have been close to the truth. It'd be nice to know what actual series he was doing at the time and if it's available to see.
I think. Do you know what? I don't know. I think some of it may be.
There, especially if he's had a warning to stop filming as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. That's scary. But at the moment, I mean, we've got to stick with the facts that we do know. And one of the things we do know is that there is no way to definitely declare whether the men in black are real or not. Because if they are part of a secret government agency, they may not have entirely kept the secret, but they've prevented any conclusive evidence of their existence from leaking out to the public. I'm just reading from here now. This is quite a good bit. As the dust settled from World War II and the USA launched into a Cold War with Russia, paranoia and conspiracies spread throughout the land. In this climate of high-tension suspicion arose the first mass sightings of unidentified flying objects in American history. Yeah, you see, it all started with the first sightings, or almost immediately after the first sighting, there was the first report of an MIB. But the first known report of a mysterious stranger showing up and warning someone not to talk about their UFO encounter was actually in 1947. And it was the classically recorded case of a chap called Howard Dahl. And since then, and we are going to come on to that, but since then there have been countless reports where people have claimed to have witnessed aliens. They say that they were subsequently visited by men in black suits who warned them to keep quiet about their experience. There's a chap called, he's actually a writer, he's called John Sherwood, and he claims that his friend Gray Barker concocted the myth of the men in black in a 1956 book called They Knew Too Much About Flying Saucers. Well, Sherwood swears that Gray came up with the theory as a joke, similar to rumours of how L. Ron Hubbard invented Scientology as part of a bet with another science fiction writer as to whether he was able to invent a successful religion or not. But whether or not Sherwood's story is true, this still doesn't account for the fact that Howard Dahl's report of men in black sighting predates Barker's alleged hoax by almost a decade. So there is, you may argue, there is a little bit of a timing issue there. Now, since the 1997 release of the original Men in Black film and its sequels, reports of encountering MIBs have remained fairly steady, apparently. But there is currently no way to establish whether any of the claims made in these following stories that we have were true. Only that it's true that several people have claimed experiences that are eerily similar. One weird story is of how this guy says this real MIB agent actually made a coin disappear right in front of him as a scare tactic. A fella called Dr. Herbert Hopkins was working as a consultant on a UFO case in Maine. And one evening he actually received a phone call from someone purporting to be an activist in the UFO community, asking him if he could visit Hopkins to discuss the case. Only minutes later the man arrived. Well, predictably, that was my chair, by the way. Predictably, the man was wearing a black suit, a black tie, but he goes on to say he had a very unusual facial appearances with no hair or eyebrows and an extremely pale figure. Hopkins's dog began barking erratically the minute the man entered the home, after the bizarre visitor was finished questioning him about the UFO case, the visit got even stranger. And here's how it went, according to the website The Night Sky. Okay, so the man in black informed Hopkins that there were 2 coins in Hopkins's pocket, which Hopkins said was correct. And then he asked him to remove one. Hopkins complied and held the coin, which was a shiny new penny, in the palm of his hand. Now the MIB told Hopkins to watch the coin closely, and after a few moments the coin took on a silvery appearance and then appeared to be going out of focus. It then began to fade and eventually disappear altogether. The MIB informed Hopkins that the coin would never be seen again on this plane, whatever that meant. And then he inquired as to whether Hopkins was familiar with alleged UFO abductee Barney Hill. We've covered that story. Yeah. Hopkins replied that he had heard of Hill, but was under the impression that he had died in the not too distant past. Well, the MIB informed Hopkins that that was correct. Barney didn't have a heart, said the MIB. Just like you no longer have a coin. And he goes on to say, it should be noted here that Barney Hill actually died of a cerebral hemorrhage. And the MIB then gently suggested that Hopkins destroy any material that he had related to the UFO case. Well, Hopkins was actually extremely shaken by this account and followed the advice of the man and burned all the files that he had related to the case. While he had repeated phone troubles after, and the phone company actually said his line had been tampered with, maybe to tap it. And after that, he never ever saw the man again. Weird story. Weird story.
It kind of a bit like this. I'll just.
Please give your attention to my associate, Agent J. He's going to demonstrate an electro-biomechanical neural transmitting zero synapse repositioner. We call it the Neuralizer. Keep it simple, Slim. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Agent K. Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, look right here. Okay, you're on an airplane, and the flight attendant asks you to turn your cell phone off, and you're like, I ain't turning my cell phone off. That don't have nothing to do with no damn airplane. Well, this is what we get. That's what happens. It gets up there, bounces around on the satellites, and blam! Just turn your damn cell phone off. Now you're gonna drive off a cliff tonight because your GPS don't work.
And there you go. Why didn't he just do that instead of threatening?
one of the classic Neuralizer scenes. Hey, wouldn't it be great to have one of those?
Yeah.
I would go around town every Saturday night if I had one of those. Do you know it's like having Jedi powers in a stick.
I'm just trying to think if it's actually possible to put somebody in a trance by using a light. And then I was thinking, how the hell am I going to make that?
You crazy. You crazy. Actually, you know... Yeah, oh Christ! You've got me thinking about that now. Well, I'm thinking if you could record, what's going on in someone's brain in a trance state, and kind of like map the governing frequency of what's going on in there. You know, we know that people's brainwaves run with alpha frequencies, beta frequencies, this, that, and the other. It's got to be something close to an alpha frequency, I would imagine. I mean, you could, I guess, tune photons to come out at that frequency because they are particles, but it is a frequency as well. It's all part of the EM spectrum. So I'm guessing, yeah. Let's get working on something. That'd be pretty cool. Now there is another very, very famous story out there about a chap called Albert K. Bender, a Dr. Albert K. Bender, and he was actually a well-written and extremely intelligent researcher who founded the International Flying Saucer Bureau. Excuse me. Now in 1955. It is said that his research was about to yield some very serious fruit as he prepared to unveil a paper that would prove that the US government had, to one degree or another, covered up proof of UFOs. Now, he planned to publish his findings in the Space Review, and that was, so they say, he was visited by the Men in Black. Bender claims that 3 men, dressed all in black, visited him at his home and warned him against pursuing the topic of UFOs any further. The men left Bender scared for his life, and he immediately shut down all his research and also the Flying Saucer Bureau. Now, many people who knew him claim that Bender was a changed man after this encounter, and his later works were rambly, almost unreadable, and he seemed to live his life in constant anxiety and terror. He purported to still receive mysterious phone calls with nobody on the other end until the end of his life in 2002.
Bloody hell.
Strange. Very weird. And then there's something called... this is brilliant. I love this. This is called the Mori Island Incident. And it concerns a chap called Harold Dahl and his son. And they were actually salvaging logs on a fishing boat when they spied 6 donut-shaped crafts flying in the air above them. Now, the crafts drop what was said to be molten waste onto the lake, which...
kind of like some of these airplanes open up the porta toilets, don't they, and just dump it. Is that what the aliens are doing now?
Well,
they're dumping their alien poop.
If it comes out as molten waste, it makes you wonder what they've been eating, doesn't it? But actually, this stuff allegedly killed Dahl's dog and actually injured his son. But a few days later, after obviously talking about the affairs with his boss and friends, he was actually visited by a mysterious man dressed all in black. Surprise, surprise. The man urged him not to discuss the encounter any further. And not long after, he was also visited by several Air Force agents who were actually said to be on a mission to gather information. Now, Dahl's story definitely got the attention of various law enforcement agencies in the United States as well. And this actually led the FBI to write a full report on the matter. Well, not long after the encounter with the man in black, Dahl claimed that the whole thing was a hoax, but recanted years after, having allegedly made the first confession under duress. Really weird. Really, really, really weird stuff. Who are the men in black? Who are they?
Agent A, Agent B, Agent C.
And K, we know K,
Yeah.
and J, and Z, of course. The good old Rip Torn, God rest his soul. But yeah, who are they and where did they come from? Now, we encountered something really, really interesting that's told alongside all the... it just gives you a different view of every UFO sighting and every MIB sighting. And that's something that I wasn't aware of. You know, all the years that I've liked all this kind of stuff, I've never ever come across something called the Oz factor. And we're going to be talking about that in the second half. We'll have a few more stories or first-hand accounts, and we're going to be talking about something called the Oz factor. Now, this is really weird. It really weird, which may explain, may go some way to explaining the state of mind you need to be in when these actual accounts happen. I don't know. I don't profess to know. Who does? But anyway, we'll talk more about this in the second half. We'll leave you with some music now by the wonderful Truth Seeker. Enjoy.
P.S.I. Radio, Yorkshire and the Humber's foremost paranormal internet radio talk show. Bringing you the very best laid-back paranormal chat from the UK with your hosts, Anthony Weeks and founder of P.S.I, Mark Lindsay. 7:30 till 8:30 p.m. GMT every Sunday, covering the weird and the wonderful, such as cryptozoology, demonology, hauntings, UFOs, paranormal investigation, divination, witchcraft, near-death experience, and much, much more. Chat box is always open, so why not join in and become a part of the show? The paranormal just got real.
Cards like the sun, the star, wheel of fortune, lightning struck tower, death and the devil, marks the terror to be revered and feared throughout the
It's
Marvellous stuff.
Quick, turn it off.
We weren't unprepared at all. Not at all. Well, if you just joined us, you are listening to Chat with Tony on P.S.I. Radio on Mixlr, and it is the 9th of the 9th, 2018. Tonight's broadcast title is Men in Black, and this is turning out to be very, very mysterious indeed. In the full course of our investigations or reading up anything we could find about the show, you can't actually find much. And that is apart from people's testimony, people's stories when they tell you that they've actually been this. Well, look, oh, Mister, I saw a UFO, and then I was visited by someone who was wearing a black suit, and he told me this, that, and the other, and that's more or less it. But you do, I think, have to marvel on how similar some of these stories are, and they all come out with the same things. But why would they do it? How would they do it? Well, I actually found that story, Mark, the one from. It doesn't all happen in the States. I actually found one from Yorkshire.
All right.
Well, this is another MIB encounter, perhaps one of the strangest of all. It took place in the seaside town of Scarborough, North Yorkshire, in 1968, which, funnily enough, isn't really that far from us, is it? Where we're sitting at the minute.
No, we used to holiday quite a lot in Scarborough as kids. Seaside resort.
And it's in 1968. Now Adele, which is a pseudonym by the way, who was 16 at the time, answered the door to what appeared to be a very strange insurance salesman. She goes on to say that he was tall, he wore a black suit and tie, and had what she described as a florid complexion. Not quite sure what that is. Probably pale. And apparently after staring at the 16-year-old and smiling for an unnerving length of time, he jerked into action and asked Adele.
Sorry, this is so unprofessional.
He actually asked Adele, "Do you have insurance? Is it now?" And Adele actually later remarked that his voice seemed to be computerized somehow. She actually suggested that the insurance salesman come back later when her parents were home, and at that moment the man suddenly began to sweat profusely. He removed his hat to reveal a bald and extremely pale head. Adele could now see that he was wearing makeup to darken his face. He apparently then asked her for a glass of water, and inviting the man in, because this was before stranger danger, I guess, Adele actually fetched him a glass of water, and he did just that. He looked at the glass of water and set it aside, didn't actually drink any of it. Next he turned his attention to a clock on the mantelpiece, and Adele told the MIB that the clock was her father's retirement present, at which he seemed baffled. "Is it your father's time?" he asked. "Is it here and now?" And then the MIB seemed to freak out like a malfunctioning robot. He began repeating "your father, his time" over and over, and became stiff and immobile. Now, turning to the door, he had to use his hands to move one of his legs. He told Adele to watch the lights before leaving in a hurry, disappearing down the street impossibly quickly. What the hell did he mean when he said watch the lights? Well, apparently Adele would soon find out. Shortly after the MIB left, Adele's living room filled with small bright lights which danced around before exiting through the window. Was this a robotic MIB agent? Was it a robotic MIB agent built by aliens and sent to add a little magic to the sleepy Yorkshire town? Or was it just a sweaty creep with alopecia and a laser pen?
Yeah.
Makes you wonder. Ooh, it makes you wonder. It certainly does. Well, these are just a few of the multitude of stories about these mysterious men. But in the case of the Men in Black, there are actually more questions than answers. Are they aliens in human form or human costumes? Are they shapeshifters? Are they in fact androids? Or are they a mix of both? Or are they yet more proof of a high-level government cover-up?
Or was that just some crackpot making a story up?
Hey, who knows? Was it an overactive imagination? Or the imagination of a UFO enthusiast having too much time on their hands? Goodness knows. Murphy Paranormal has just put a message up. Wow, there's a lot there. Brilliant. This is an interesting topic. I have never met anyone who has had a claim of interactions with any MIB. However, I have had quite a few of UFO reports. Considering where I live, which is the circle of Edwards Air Force Base, Area 51, China Lake Weapons Proving Ground and Nellis Air Force Base, needless to say, there are a lot of black SUVs that are seen here in the area. I'm sure if you were to head out into the desert and talk to some of the folks that live out there, they would have some good stories or claims.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
If you, Murphy Paranormal, if you're living near that Air Force base, have you actually seen the black triangles as well as the SUVs?
I saw a black triangle once.
Come on.
No, I'm just saying. But she was dark-haired anyway.
I thought you were going to say something about Brazilian then.
No, she had long black hair. But there you go. Yeah, all interesting stuff. But yeah, do you know some of the most interesting stories I actually found? I was digging away and I found them on a page. And if you remember the Mothman incident around Point Pleasant, the Mothman incident in Point Pleasant is actually associated with several MIB encounters.
All right.
On its own, yeah, which makes it even more interesting.
Mothman.
Yeah, Mothman. These are some stories from the page, the Mothman Wiki, and it's MIB encounters in Point Pleasant, and it really is worth a read. Anybody who likes the weirder stuff, like I'm guessing we all do, yeah, I'm really encouraging you. Go to this page. It's absolutely brilliant. It's called the Mothman Wiki. But before we do any of that, I've just got to give a few shout-outs. And these are to pages that I cheekily post on. And I always tell them I'll give them a shout-out. It's only fair, isn't it? It's only fair.
Even though they don't listen to your radio show.
Well, I know.
They could do, couldn't they?
Yeah, they could do. They could go back into the... well, we get more listens in the show reel than we do in the live show.
Well, that's it. I think, after this show, and because I know you save every show anyway on the show reel, we'll have to start blasting the link all over so people can listen to it.
That's
and then
right.
We'll tell them that we'll give all the shout-outs.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll have to do that. So anyway, going to the shout-outs, we have Paranormal UK. Paranormal UK, great site. Paranormal Addicts UK. We also have Paranormal Stuff. Hello there. Then we have Rather Freaky Paranormal Stuff. We also have Paranormal Junkies UK. And here's a really, really good one. Murphy Paranormal. That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, saying that, he's just put a comment up in the. I've become so accustomed to seeing all kinds of strange aircraft and booming sounds. I've become desensitized to it, and I've stopped paying attention to it all. This is exactly what we're saying. What we were saying
that's
is
fair enough.
Desensitized to it. Yeah.
I'd have a camera pointed at the sky every night, mate. I think if I lived near one of them bases.
24/7. 24/7. Yeah, definitely.
Which I'm sure you have done in the past.
He probably hasn't. Who could blame Robert? Who could blame him?
No.
And then we have Jan Murphy Mysteries and the Paranormal. We have Paranormal Seekers Victoria. We also have the Paramentals. We have JP Paranormal in good old Worcestershire in the UK. Coventry Paranormal Investigators, same. That's a good old UK group. Trinity Paranormal team. They're from Liverpool. PCH Paranormal from Southern California. Paranormal Investigators Townsville, that's Pitt. And then we have Ghost Stories from Around the World. That's one of our Facebook pages.
So paranormal stuff's one of ours as well.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yes it is. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, Paranormal Stuff is another one of our pages. And we have Experiences of the Paranormal and Haunted Places. Oh, I'd just like to give one more shout out, which I promised I would. And this is to a chap called Jamie Harding, and he's asked us could we shout out his Instagram account. Jamie Harding was taken. That's Jamie Instagram at Jamie_Harding_was_taken. Right. Well, there you go.
Also, can I shout out?
You can shout out.
He's actually been helping me with some advice on development of equipment.
Oh yes.
Andy Bailey and infraready.co.uk. He's got a YouTube channel called Infraready as well. And Infraready UK.
And he's got some really, really good stuff on there, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's we've been chatting over the last couple of months, and he's been developing equipment. Well, we've been chatting between us, and he's been giving me advice on how to build certain equipment, and I've been sharing links with him where to find things and things like that. So that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, that's what it's all about. Andy Bailey seems to be one of these people who...
One of the very few people.
One of the very, very few people who doesn't see anything wrong in sharing information. And we share it with him, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, the little tricks. Oh, have you tried building it like this? And have you tried fitting a so-and-so resistor instead of a so-and-so? You might find that makes a difference and things like that, yeah. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good when people share because everybody benefits at the end of the day.
And also, while before we go back onto any UFO stuff, Murphy Paranormal, let's just say if an alien was ever to show up out here and make its presence known to everyone, I wouldn't bat an eye.
Really? Wow. Wow. Yeah, well, we were talking about disclosure and desensitisation earlier in the show, weren't we? And that's which just it just goes to show you do adapt, you evolve and adapt very, very quickly to your surroundings, and I guess that's one of the situations in which it happens.
I know on Facebook we've got a page called Ufo Reports.
Reports, yeah.
However, we've been investigating the paranormal. Well, as P.S.I, me and you together for the last 4 or 5 years. But since 2005, although we still do the paranormal work and things, myself and Tony have decided to start another Facebook group, and it's going to be, we haven't kind of settled on the name yet, but it's to do with like UFOs, and
it is going to be more UFO based,
local stuff. Do you know what I mean? And it's to get out there and do like sky watches when we can, and you know, interview people in the area of certain things.
Yeah, brilliant.
So because, you know, it's not that we're getting bored of the spirit side of things, but
no, you've just got to branch out and try.
Everybody's doing
things,
it, so we're getting back to doing something totally different again.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, yeah, and I can't wait, to be honest. I'm sure it'll open up many more things than just sticking to the paranormal stuff.
I've always liked the UFO side of it, but because of the background that I've had, it's always been spirit stuff and ghosty stuff, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But paranormal is it covers a large spectrum, doesn't it? It's like an umbrella of different things.
That's right. There are very, very wide brackets full of all different kinds of stuff when you use the term paranormal. I mean, good Lord. I mean, it could encompass almost anything, which indeed it does. And
no doubt in probably another 13 or 14 years we'll go on to something else like cryptozoology.
Hey, who knows?
Chasing Bigfoot.
Maybe. Or we'll become demonologists.
Yeah.
Just to shut everybody up about it.
I think it's good though, somebody such as ourselves doing things like this, because we are sceptical, but we're open-minded skeptics.
Yeah, that's right. I think
not like every other sheep on the internet think everything's paranormal. That's all you seem to see now. Oh, it's a ghost. They sat around and playing with the little gadgets. They don't go investigating. They just sit playing on the frigging iPhones or the tablets, asking for ghosts to come through. It's not like that. It shouldn't be like that.
No, no, it isn't. It should. I mean, we're experienced enough to kind of like say okay, and let that information in. And it's kind of like a cocktail. You put all these things in, and then you give it a damn good shake and see what comes out the other end. And 9 times out of 10, it's that has to be made up, or that has to be attributable to one of the scientific explanations for that.
I still blame TV on everything.
I blame
because
TV for
people
a lot.
think that's how it's done. You should investigate like Zach Bagans or who's the other rubbish one from the UK we won't mention because of that rubbish.
Lawman.
Well,
oh no!
that's
Oh no!
another one.
Yeah. You know, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah.
But yeah, it shouldn't be done like that. With iPhone technology and Android technology, it's all mobile phones and tablets nowadays.
Yeah.
They sit there, or they might wander around a room playing with apps, and that seems to be the new thing. And I thought people have just lost the way totally.
You've
You're
got
live
to
streaming on a Friday and Saturday night, and they've got thousands of viewers, and I'm like, well, you know, come on.
if you want some kind of physical interaction, whether it's physical or any kind of sensory interaction from the spirit world, I always think, on which I've always said, you know, the best instruments we have for recognising spirit or anything like that, it's ourselves, it's our own bodies.
Yeah, but then some people take that too far. People, like you were saying, it's not about mediums now. They're empaths, like you were saying the other night.
Everyone's a bloody empath.
Yeah,
all of
come
a sudden. 6 months ago, you rarely heard the word, and now you don't hear anybody refer to as being a psychic medium. They're all, no, they're empaths now.
Yeah.
They're all empaths. Frankly, I find it quite pathetic.
But
It's
what these alleged empaths, or whatever their abilities are meant to be, people listen to them and believe it. I'm like, what?
Oh, yeah.
How can you know, that's just their perspective of things. You can't take their word for it.
The thing is, it would be kind of like quite interesting for either you or I, just as a social experiment, as we did with the Shadow Man, right? To set ourselves up as some kind of psychic medium, or as you say, the modern term is an empath now.
Yeah.
And I know that between us, with our skills and knowledge about the subject, we could give them any answer they wanted, but make it the right one, and they would swear that we were looking into their lives. You know. And it wouldn't be any kind of random stuff or any like hitting anywhere on the target. It would be absolutely bullseye stuff. I was having a conversation with one of my workmates, Neil, the other day, and he was saying about this, how this like psychic medium had been telling someone that our lass was saying that she was absolutely amazed that she was told this. And I said, come on, Neil. I said, that's that's classic industry cold reading. And I said, and I tell you who was really good at that. And he said, I said, Darren Brown.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. In fact, what most people don't know is that rather covertly, Darren Brown was among one of the top 5 psychics in America at one time. Did you know that? But he knew what he was doing. He just did it to see if he could get there, and he actually became the top slot for a while before he had to come back. But I said, that is classic cold reading. And we were walking back into work, and I said, Neil, I could stop you and look you in the eye now and say, Neil, I've got to tell you something. And I told him 2 or 3 things, X, Y, Z, off the top of my head. And he kind of like smiled and looked away, and he went, do you know, all those apply to me? I said, they apply to everyone, Neil. These are all fundamental things that people need to hear, that everybody thinks, that all fundamentally apply to every single human on the planet. And I said, that's all these people tell them. Well, mind you, I do actually have some stories about mediums that my family have known, and I didn't quite get to know personally, but I listened to the stories of what my mum used to say when obviously when she was around, And what Dad, I had a conversation with Dad the other day about this. I think Linda, her name was, and she was just brilliant, but so innocent with it, and that we set out with no agenda whatsoever. Didn't expect anything in return.
I don't doubt that
she was just a normal woman.
You know, some genuine people out there.
There
may
are,
be gifted.
There are.
However, I don't believe
they are very, very rare and few and
95%,
far between.
At least 95% on Facebook are just
absolutely dreamers and full of
exactly.
shit. If you'll excuse my French, because that's the way it makes me feel. It's frustrating.
It is.
It's frustrating.
There's genuine gifted people out there, but it gives them a bad name because of all these idiots.
That's right, and that's all they are. The thing is, I mean, if they become known as one for a month, a couple of months, is for that short space of time is what makes them special, doesn't it? At the end of the day, it's like having some really, really weird dietary requirement.
Well, I won't say we
makes them special.
You got kicked out of a Facebook group, a paranormal group, for having an opinion.
That's right.
And because it didn't match theirs and it made them unpopular, they kicked you out.
And it was a level-headed opinion, by the way. And I got kicked straight out. And what did I do? I went, meh, whatever.
But these sorts of people, right, they may have thousands of followers on like these social media group things.
Some of them do. This one.
It's not about money now. It's about fame,
popularity.
Yeah.
It's
do
a
people
popularity
like me?
match. Yeah.
It's not. They don't even care if they're getting evidence. As long as people are watching them on their live stream, they don't care.
That's right. No, they don't. they don't care if they.
It's just lost its way totally now. And
it's frankly, it's embarrassing. I mean, I had a rant last month sometime, didn't I? I put that rant on that I had, and I would not make any retraction to that even now. Every word was what I was feeling at the time, and it was right. It was all right, and it was. But it's just embarrassing, really. When you hear the things that people are coming out with, and you're thinking, no, come on, apply a bit of common sense. You've got to apply common sense to that. Otherwise, what the hell have we got? You may as well believe in pink flying unicorns. I want to tell me they don't exist, and where's your proof? If common sense tells you they don't exist.
If Zach Bagans told everybody on TV he'd seen a pink flying unicorn, they'd all be out there looking for one.
That's right.
Because it's Zach Bagans.
That's
or
right.
Baggins, however you want to say it.
Bilbo Baggins.
Well, isn't it?
It's pathetic.
It's not a rant. It's just, you know, these genuine groups out there, such as ours. I think we're pretty genuine, to be fair, and we're level-headed. And I thought this group was level-headed. When I saw that, I just left it anyway before you even got kicked out.
Yeah.
I'm sick. They're letting people put up posts about. Here's a quick one for you. Should I be teaching my 9 or 11-year-old daughter witchcraft?
Witchcraft, yeah.
What? Come on.
Surely you should know if you do that yourself. Don't you know?
I mean, I know people follow certain like religions and things. Or should I let her be a Christian? Should I blah blah blah? You know, don't teach them occult work at all. Let them make their own mind up when they're old enough.
That's right. I'm sure they'll find their own path. If they want to follow mummy or daddy, they'll do it when they're 16.
Yeah. Don't brainwash them into doing, gathering around whatever they're doing. I haven't done witchcraft or seen it for ages.
Yeah, but because, and I'll give you another reason why not. These kids have got to go to school.
Yeah.
What are the other kids going to say? If they want to do that, they'll make sure you're in a position to actually be able to fight your own corner and know enough about it to actually speak reason with people when they ask you questions.
Said, I'm a white
or call
witch.
your names.
I said, I don't care. I said, you're still set around all these candles, invoking whatever spirit energy you think you're invoking.
Yeah.
Don't bring that on your kid. She's only 9 or 11, whatever she was.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it to my kids.
No,
I don't throw my religions at my kids. I don't throw my beliefs at my kids. Let them make their own. They come to me, my kids now, or Ethan. He asks questions, so I answer him. I don't shove it down his throat like some of these people on here do.
No, that's right. That's right, and that's the way it should be, and that is the way it should be.
Yeah, it's not that we're ranting again, but you know.
Yeah, it is. We're getting to be grumpy old men like Rick Wakeman and all the rest in those.
It makes good listening, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it does.
Because people know we're right, especially those level-headed ones out there. And not only that, right, get this. We're covering the UFO stuff now because every now and again you think, well, our paths are changing, we've got to do something different. we've been doing. I mean, I've been doing paranormal stuff for 24 plus years, and you're how much older than me, Tony? So you've been doing it longer than me. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you think
Yeah.
it's an interest, but I won't say you lose interest, but things change.
No, I always remember someone asking me, "Are you still doing the paranormal thing?" I kind of like looked at him. It was someone at work. I can't even remember who it was. And I said, "I just want to point out that kind of like I'm not saying it was a silly question. It wasn't, but there's one major flaw in what you've asked. Are you still into? No, that was it. Are you still into the paranormal thing?" I said, "You either are or you aren't. I think you're either born with that." With that thing in you, that empty hole, you've got to seek the truth, and you're not happy until you find it, but you'll never find it.
It's just it's an interest. You don't lose interest in something you're interested in.
That's right.
You just change it.
You've got to be a born seeker. So I'm always going to be into this. I'm always going to be into the paranormal and the occult, because this. Then again, we had this conversation the other week, didn't we?
Yeah.
Once you take that step into the world of the occult, there's no coming back. There's no way to unknow what you know. So yeah, expect things going wrong. Expect to feel, oh, I don't know what's come over me today, but blah blah blah. But it's all that thing that's to do with that spiritual discernment. And if you believe it, you've got to live it as well. You know. And if you live it, you've got to believe it. It works the other way. And there's no way that can be. You can step out of the occult and not know it again.
Yeah.
It's like the people who actually come into a paranormal group, or this, that and the other. What experience have you had? Well, very little. Oh, well, are you sure you want to do this? It's not just a passing fad.
Yeah.
You know, it can't be a passing fad. It's got to be something in you that has to drive you forward all the time. I mean, it's like even tonight. I mean, what did you bring me tonight in that little packet?
A square waveform generator.
A square waveform generator. There, that sums it all up. We're trying to find a way. Well, we found ways, but we're using different bits of electronic equipment and putting them together, just to see if we can improve on the ghost box whole thing, to see if we can make our own and tweak it the way we want. And
well, we can. We're just getting it all together.
yeah.
We're obviously.
Yeah, that's right. We're just
some of
trying
the
different
parts,
things.
You can't get the parts from the UK. You've got to get them from either Japan, China, America. Do quite a few now.
Yeah.
Who's the other one? Who's the other one?
Just,
Oh, I can't
just
remember.
constantly experimenting with stuff because we're
Belgium.
interested.
Those old places. They must have some different.
Oh yeah,
electronics.
Belgium and Germany. I tell you what they are good for. Speakers.
Yeah.
These small speakers, either 8 or 16 or 32 ohm, depending on what you need for your circuit. Yeah, brilliant. But anyway, we digress. And look at the time. We're
It's not that we're whinging, because we're not
yeah.
grumpy old men.
Yeah.
Men is-
What's that? Sat there with my ear horn. Yeah.
No, but I mean, even Murphy Paranormal that's listening there, he's got to agree. Some of the stuff he's seen on Facebook and different social medias is just getting ridiculous. It really is, and it annoys us because we put a lot of time and effort into it, and then these people stop us, question us. Well, it should be done like this. Well, no, hang on a minute. We don't do it how it is on TV.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
because that's not really the way it's done. Don't forget, they're making a TV program,
It's for entertainment.
and it's their livelihood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've got to get people interested.
Don't get me wrong. We may put this on. Like, who's the other one? Nick Graff, whatever he's called, in America.
Oh yeah,
We sit and watch it, but we really shout at the TV screen because we think, come on.
I can only imagine the amount of times Robert from Murphy Paranormal has tutted and rolled his eyes and just read something on Facebook and thought, oh, you guys, and then scrolled onto something else. Exactly the same as us. It's just it's just a bit hard
What's
sometimes.
the name of that woman that was doing it on TV? I debunked her. She's really well known as well.
Amy Brunei.
Amy Brunei,
Amy
whatever you
Brunei,
call
yeah.
her. I debunked her because she was using flashlight.
She got really snotty with you, didn't she?
Oh yeah, I said I give her a scientific explanation how it's done.
The flashlight phenomenon.
Yeah.
Think of the bimetallic strip. Think of the bimetallic strip. That's just the way it works.
It's just caused by heat and things
In
shrinking
shrinkage and
expanding.
contraction and expansion.
And
That's it.
she didn't like that. She took
No,
pretty
she
much told me
didn't.
to jog on. Then I'm like, wait a minute. You know what? I mean, you want us to watch you on TV? Stop doing stupid stuff on TV.
There's one really easy explanation for that. As something heats up, it expands. Meaning that bulb connection moves further away from its source of power.
It won't work in plastic torches, only mag lights, metal mag lights.
Yeah, metal-bodied torches or mag lights. As the unit is cooling, which it does quite rapidly because it's aluminium, and aluminium, apart from copper, I work with aluminium sometimes, and I know how good it is at getting rid of its heat. And it really gets rid of it quick.
Heating them up. They're walking around with the torches, or sorry, flashlight if you're in America, walking around like that with it on, actually looking around the room. It's getting hot really quick.
That's right.
And then she said to me, but we use several different flash mag lights on that series.
So what?
I said it's the same principle. You might be lining 3 or 4. It's exactly
the same physics principle applies to all the metal body torches.
She said the flash when I'm asking questions. I said, well, that's coincidence then, isn't it?
Yeah. The flash when you're asking questions, because aluminium heats up and cools down really, really quick. It does. It's not like steel. It is so not like steel. If you've got an aluminium body torch, it's exceptionally easy to do it with, because as soon as that heat source goes out, it starts to contract again, which brings the bulb closer to the power source. Then it lights up again. Then it all starts again. It expands.
Don't get me wrong. I don't go out my way to debunk just American paranormal entertainers.
Oh no!
I really can't stand the UK ones either. But I don't want to mention them because they're quite liable to sue me, because that's what they like doing. They sue people who slurt them.
Are you talking about Host Maunted?
Something like that, yeah.
Oh God,
Proper
absolutely.
debunked them that many times. The UK ones are just as bad. That said, I do think Zach Bagans is one of the more genuine ones, although he's entertaining. He's proper dramatic with it.
Yeah.
That's what annoys me about it.
Put it this way. I'll never. I always like to stay away. I never ever watch the aforementioned, but Ghost Adventures I will always watch. They're always trying to bring out and use the latest cutting edge paranormal technology. In fact, sometimes the first time you see it is on their show. And B, they all seem like kind of likable guys who do it because they have a real love and passion for it.
Wait, it was like that in the beginning, but now they're getting paid for it. That's what it's about. It's about money now, isn't it? However, they don't point the cameras at themselves all the way through the show.
That's right.
They point it away. I'm just feeling what's come up now.
I freely admit to momentarily being caught up in all the tech and whiz-bang gear that was supposed to make investigating easier. I'm back to just a recorder and a flashlight. Oh, good for you. I still experiment with the tech for the sake of research, which you have to.
Yeah, and you will get more, well, not more, but better recordings on the old tape recorders, not the digital ones.
Yeah, that's right.
Tape.
Yeah, we utilise a couple of magnetic tape recorders. I mean, I think these are going to be from the 50s, haven't they? No, not the 50s, but the 60s.
Well, even the 80s, you could use them.
Well, yeah, of course. It's all the same. It's that analog signal that I always think is the more important rather than a digital one.
Whereas I'm old for old school, to be fair. But however, I do see these new things coming out, what they're using on the TV show, and I think, how can I make one? So then you make one. You can do it yourself.
You have to try it to see if it's for you. I mean, spirit box communication, it's never been for me. I know it's never. I don't feel an empathy for it. But dictaphone, taking recordings, playing them back, love it.
I've always
seemed to get results.
Interested in the old TV white noise screen. So
got one down there.
You can't do it on the digital TVs now.
You can't, no.
But that sort of, I like that. And to be fair, with the RTC and Ghostbox, I've only ever once had a genuine thing, and I had witnesses sat there, and it was with Dave Pete's brother. Pete, very sceptical guy.
That's right.
He couldn't believe what he was hearing on that. It was Dave's voice, and I wasn't even in the room at the beginning. They shouted at me to come in. And there was a communication going on there, a two-way conversation.
Wow.
That is the only time what has happened, and that's once in 13 years. We've had the odd word, but not like this, a conversation, and I can do that. But I'm not all for the, I know you used to like it, because it every now and again it threw something out. It was the Ovilus.
Yes.
I was on the fence with the Ovilus, although it came out with words, alright, it could have matched with what we was doing at the time, but then again, it's it was a nice bit of kit.
Oh yeah, lovely. But you've got to admit, I mean, it did have its moments
Yeah.
or moment, and that was in
Park
the
Street.
Park Street Dance Studio, and that was almost a full-fledged conversation. It was just, well, it was unbelievable. It was just absolutely bang on, and just one-word answers that could not mean anything else.
Yeah.
And Veronica, yeah, what sex are you? What's your name? Veronica. Answered 2 questions back to back with one word. But it wasn't just that. That was part of this whole conversation. That was eerie. That was eerily paranormal.
I think, like Murphy Paranormal says, we all get caught up in the new tech coming out and that, but
I think it's quite easy to. The thing is, people don't know. So I don't think there's anything wrong with actually trying stuff, because no one knows anything about this field. There's nothing wrong with making stuff and trying stuff. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But you always go back to what you prefer, don't you? But how do you know that unless you try new stuff?
But all the new tech, all these the UK groups especially, they don't take reports. They don't write stuff down. EMF meter gone off. Are you there? Make it flash red, make it flash green. Oh, hang on a minute. How about writing down how many megahertz it is, or what strength field is coming in? They don't do that.
Or did the temperature drop at the time?
What
time did it
now
happen?
It's like, it flashed yellow, it flashed red. I'm like, what? What does that mean to me? Write down the numbers. Do you know?
Yeah, it's hardly scientific way to go on, is it? You know,
They're just laughable. They're just little Scooby-Doo gangs.
Yeah, no data recording whatsoever.
That annoys me.
Ghost chasers.
It's just a lot of it was just for money to get the public going with them. But like we've said, that ain't it for us, because we maybe get, when we do public events, maybe 4 to 5 people, and that's just if we have to pay a cover cost for the building, and that's it. We don't make money.
And I think that's because we just want to know.
We want to get evidence.
Not that we want people to say, "Oh wow, so and so happened." We just want to. I want to know. You know. And it's quite annoying because I don't, and I don't think I ever will. But it won't stop me doing these things and looking for it and being interested in it, and because it's in there, man. It's in there. You see where I'm pointing? Oh, that's my bowels. No, I mean, to be fair, they're up where my heart is.
I think if anybody's going to get any kind of alien or UFO thing, it's going to be us, because we're dedicated to what we're doing when we're doing it.
I hope so.
We have a laugh with it, don't get me wrong, but we are...
I think you've got to take it light-heartedly. And when you are serious with it, and when it is a part of you, and if you do have a sense of humour, part of that is going to be done light-heartedly, because it's done honestly, with no agenda.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. I could rant on about the whole night. I mean, I won't even go on about the new electrical Ouija boards and stuff coming out on Early's 4 again.
Don't. No, don't.
They look the part, but no.
Please. No. That's... I mean,
just
come on.
for entertainment.
It's like, time out. Come on, time out. It's like, what are the 2 weirdest things we can put together? Oh yeah, a Ouija board and electricity. That's never been done before. Let's do that. Yeah. Great marketing.
And then let's add some neon magnets underneath the Ouija board.
God.
And then put a neon magnet on the planchette.
Just weird. And anyway, on that bombshell, we're going to say...
I'm giving away tricks now, aren't I? Shh. Somebody's going to go make one now. Claim it's a spirit.
We're going to say, thanks for listening. And hope you've enjoyed the show, and we will be here with something next week.
And thanks for listening to the ravings.
Yeah, thanks for listening to the rants of 2 crazy old guys. Right, so you, God bless, and thanks for being a part of the show. And just remember this is the only thing you need to know, is the paranormal just got real. It did indeed. Right, we're going to love you and leave you, and we'll see you, as I said earlier, next week.
See you
same
through
time,
winter.
same place. We'll be here. You, God bless. God bless you. Have a good week, and catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.
P.S.I. Radio, Yorkshire and the Humber's foremost paranormal internet radio talk show. Bringing you the very best laid-back paranormal chat from the UK with your hosts, Anthony Weeks and founder of P.S.I, Mark Lindsay. 7:30 till 8:30 p.m. GMT every Sunday, covering the weird and the wonderful, such as cryptozoology, demonology, hauntings, UFOs, paranormal investigation, divination, witchcraft, near-death experience, and much, much more. Chat box is always open, so why not join in and become a part of the show? The paranormal just got real.